The topic that I have chosen today to discuss is media and culture. There were three main points from the lecture that really stuck with me. The first is that ideas about propaganda and free speech continue to change. People are less afraid to say what they think because there are so many digital public spheres, which are platforms that are quasi-public because they have private guidelines, but they have a public feeling, like Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube comments. They're all public, anyone can post, but they have their own guidelines. Through this, things like cancel culture have emerged because people can have their own discourse on the internet and discuss what they believe is the right opinion. Secondly, convergence. As technology has developed, it started to merge different technologies into one. There are different types of convergence: economic, cultural, organic, global, and technological. There are many effects of convergence. Some people believe it'll make people smarter by mentally stimulating them more and making them interact and make more decisions. Others think too much technological convergence will leave us shallower. It's isolating to converge everything. You stop needing services like going to the bank to withdraw money or transfer money. But it's good for society because they spend more time focusing on more important things rather than small, meaningless activities. Cultural values impact mass communication. This is another point that stuck with me. Free speech is valued, but in society, there are values that may trump free speech, such as obscenity. People disapprove of that, but it is technically free speech to be able to say what you want. There were three examples of how this resonated with me for each point. The first is the idea that people have altered their views of free speech and propaganda really resonated with me because it shows how our culture has changed in regard to technology. Everything you do and say online stays forever and has caused implications with free speech. I believe that Spotify keeping Joe Rogan is important to the preservation of free speech. Having platforms for discourse is important to the development of society, and to start limiting or censoring what's allowed and what's not is a slippery slope to losing the right to free speech. Secondly, the idea of convergence is also one that resonated with me during the lecture. It made me think back to when I was a kid and having a house phone or having to go somewhere to print. I would have to buy DVDs of Disney movies, but now I can do all these things from the comfort of my own home. In my opinion, technology will continue to converge further, eliminating entire job markets and changing the way we live our lives, like the cell phone changed communication completely and how Amazon changed shopping. Thirdly, the idea that cultural values impact communications resonated with me because it raises questions about free speech. It creates discussion about what's admissible as free speech or not, based on what we as a society deem as more important than free speech. For example, people are trying to get Joe Rogan off of Spotify because he was spreading misinformation, but Spotify deemed free speech as more important, trumping cultural values. In 50 years, this chapter will likely be viewed as outdated, as technology will continue to converge and bloom in ways no one has thought of before. 50 years ago, the idea of an iPhone seemed like something barely achievable, only achievable in movies, and now it's in everyone's back pocket, containing their entire lives. Ideas of free speech will continue to evolve, and boundaries of what is protected by free speech will continue to change based on norms and values of the time.